Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is Dr. Herbert Harris. And folks, we have had numerous challenges this morning to make this Sunday lesson happen. I thank you so much for being here with us. It has been quite an experience. And so I've already done our opening prayer. I've already read from the Daily Word. And so let us move now into the message for today. And the message for today is, your only limitation is your own imagination. I'll say that again. Your only limitation is your own imagination. And this message today is about the limitations that we have in our minds, about those limitations that keep us from being, doing, and having all the things we desire. The greatest barriers we have in our lives are not buildings, and not walls, and not blockages, but the greatest barriers we have in our lives are internal. Those quiet assumptions, those inherited beliefs, those unexamined mental pictures. And so today's message is to really invite us to explore a very liberating truth, a truth that says your only limitation is your own imagination, that you have the ability now to see, to be, and to have anything you desire. And imagination is not a fantasy. It's not wishful thinking. Imagination is a part of the creative process, the creative faculty. Imagination is one of the tools that you have in your mind, in your repertoire, in the gifts that God has given you, in the alignment you have with your perfect self. Your imagination is a power tool through which you can create your reality, through which you can create and project the world that you want to experience. Unity teaches us that mind is really the cause and the creation of the source of all that we experience. We do not react to life, but we actually create life through consciousness. Those of you on Facebook, please share this broadcast with as many people as you can. It took us a moment to get all the technicalities working in one accord, but I now see that it is working. So from this moment forward, let us march together. Let us share the message together. Charles Fillmore described imagination as the imaging power of the mind, the bridge between thought and manifestation. We often say, if you can think it, you can be it. But when you think it, there's a vision that you see, and that vision that you see is your imagination. The scripture, literally undergirds this. The scripture is so congruent with this thought, this power of imagination. In Proverbs, the 23rd chapter and the 7th verse, it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. In Matthew, the book of Matthew, the 29th verse, it says, according to your faith be it unto you. All of these are statements of non-limitation, statements of possibilities. In Matthew, the 19th chapter, the 26th verse, it said, with God, all things are possible. With God, all things are possible. So the basic concept of unity is that there's a God consciousness and awareness of divine possibility rather than human limitation. That when we are properly aligned with the God mind, with the good mind, then we are in the, you might say, in the vibration of infinite possibilities. The more aligned we can be with the God mind, the greater the possibilities you can experience and create in your life, in your living experience. Thank you, Pastor Ellen. Thank you for sharing. Thank you so much. So let's look at this. Imagination is actually a faculty, just like your sight is a faculty, just like hearing is a faculty. Imagination is a tool for you to create the world you desire. It is not, child's play. I remember as a child, my mother used to always say, you spend all your time. I was a dreamer. I mean, literally, I always saw myself someplace else doing something else. But as an adult, as a unity practitioner, unity minister, we've learned that imagination is a power tool, is a way to create life exactly the way we want to. So imagination precedes reality. Before any achievement exists in form, it exists in energy. That law of thought, as a mind thinketh in his heart, so is he. As a man, as a woman, as a person thinketh in their heart, so are they. This says that any vision that you can have in your mind, any thought that you can have in your mind, has a manifestation in life, in reality. So every invention, every healing, every reconciliation, every transformation first appeared as a picture in somebody's mind. We often talk about Tesla and Edison. Tesla and Edison were two very different inventors. Edison was a trial and error inventor, and we know the story. They often say that Edison was being interviewed by a newscaster, and this newscaster said to Mr. Edison, you have failed over 3,000 times to find this filament to make this light bulb thing work. But lo and behold, think about this now, lo and behold, Mr. Edison took a positive. He took the high road. He said, I have never failed at anything. I have successfully identified 3,000 ways that will not work. Tesla, on the other hand, was a person who invented by visualization. When he had an assignment, Edison gave him an assignment, a challenge. He said if you could solve this particular electrical problem, that he would pay Tesla $50,000. Now, in today's money, that's like $1 million. And Tesla solved it in 2 weeks. That's when he and Edison parted ways because Edison wouldn't pay him. Mm-hmm. But Tesla's way was to see the vision of the thing first in his mind's eye. And then what he had to do was then create the vision that he already saw. There have been many exercises, many experiments where people have seen that the body, the mind, the creative force cannot distinguish between reality and lived experience. There was an experiment done. A professor in Chicago took 3 groups of basically athletes who were not really super athletes. And he had one group for an hour a day for 30 days shoot hoops from the free throw line. Then he had a second group that didn't touch a basketball, but all they did was focus on visualizing themselves shooting hoops for an hour. And then they had a third group that did nothing but chill. And what happened was the group that practiced for an hour, they improved by 24%. But this is the shocker, folks. The group that did not practice but only visualized for an hour, they improved by 23%, virtually the same. The group that did nothing didn't improve at all. And so this is something profound. This says that you can use imagination if you can focus on it long enough. Now see, it didn't happen in 1 day, it didn't happen in 2 days, but if you can focus on anything long enough, you can create it in your life experience. Spiritually, you move toward the images you hold in your mind, in your vision. I move towards my vision. Let us affirm that together. I move toward my vision. So if this is the case, then why is limitation there? How do we get into a mindset where we limit this power tool? We limit our own imagination. Well, no one is born thinking that they're limited. No one is born thinking that they can't do stuff. You know, when children are born, you know, they want everything. They want it right now. They'll try to do anything. They have no boundaries. As parents, you have to protect them from hurting themselves because they know they have no boundaries. So limitation is a learned behavior. The first 3 words a child learns are no, stop, and don't. Then once they learn those, they learn shut up once they start talking. And so often we undermine our imagination faculty by focusing on past disappointments, by thinking about all of the things that did not work, all the times we missed the mark, all the times we failed. Our imagination is undermined by cultural conditioning. You know, we saw it. If you're tall, you can play basketball. If you're white, you can do this. You're black, can do that. All of these cultural conditionings that people accept. Operative word, accept. Fear of judgment keeps us from striving for our imagination. You know, that fear of criticism is awesome. It takes away all of your initiative. And then I'll call something repeated failure without reflection. Okay, now someone said, Doc, what do you mean by that? You know, there are people who fail over and over, but you learn something from each failure. The whole point is you don't keep doing the same dumb thing over and over. You keep trying new things. But what happens is over time, imagination is pushed into a corner. Over time, we get so focused on no more hurts, no more disappointments, no more failures, and we stop asking what's possible. We start saying what's safe, what's comfortable. Someone once said that nothing grows in the comfort zone. So the unity messages really says reverse this process. It said let's rekindle our imagination. Let's re-stimulate our imagination. Let's now use our imagination as a power tool to create the life we love, the life we seek. So let's look at 3 keys to this. Number 1, imagination shapes your identity. You know, people have this vision of old age. If you imagine yourself as too old, I listen to people, you know, I recently turned 85. I'm 85. Oh my goodness, 82. Let me get that right. I recently turned 82 years old, and I went to a reunion, and by the time I listened to everything everybody was saying, I got high blood pressure, I got diabetes, oh my goodness. Somebody said, well, Herb, what do you got? I'm like, I got to get out of here. So anything you imagine yourself to be, people say, oh, I'm slowing down. I can't remember. If you imagine it's too late, man, the success train has passed me by. If you imagine it's too broken, some people feel like I'm too hurt to help. The way I've been hurt, I can't do anything now. I'll never love again. I'll never trust again. Too ordinary. I have nothing special to offer the world. Whatever you imagine yourself to be is what you become. So unity says this: I am a spiritual being having a human experience with unlimited potential. I'm going to say that. I want you to repeat after me. I am a spiritual being having a human experience with unlimited potential. Wow. So when we can change our inner image of ourselves, we change the outer expression of our lives. That's powerful. So if we're not experiencing the life we want to experience, then all we have to do is just change that inner experience, see it differently in our mind's eye. Second key, imagination determines expectation. Thank you. I see our audience is growing. Let's keep sharing and inviting some people who were on earlier. Those technical difficulties we had were interesting, okay? And we've learned a lot from that. But now we're on track. So let's invite some other people to come on in and plug in. Jesus often asked the question, what do you expect me to do for you? And you notice in all of his healings, he said, your faith has made you whole. You remember the lady, she said, look, you don't even have to touch me. If I could just touch the hem of your garment, I will be healed. And so expectation is a powerful aspect of imagination. In other words, the moment you expect a particular outcome, you set the vibrations in force, in motion to manifest that outcome in your life experience. Expectation is imagination with emotion attached. Whatever you expect, you project. And so if your imagination is fueling your expectation, then the manifestation will be congruent with the imagination. Congruent with the expectation. Wow. We do it negatively. We do it negatively all the time. Remember in the book of Job, it says, the things I feared have come upon me. And so when we use our imagination in a negative way, we imagine struggle. Oh, this is going to be hard. Passing the bar is hard. Getting through college is hard. Learning something new. You know, some of my friends say, man, I don't want to deal with this AI. Anytime they call it the AI. I don't want to deal with the AI like it's something foreign. The moment they say, I don't want to do it, they have imagined that it's hard, and so therefore what? It's hard. So if you imagine struggle, you prepare for struggle, and what you prepare for, you get. But then on the other hand, you see, imagination is harmonic. It has a yin-yang aspect. You can imagine the negative or you can imagine the positive. When you imagine the positive now, you imagine harmony and you open pathways for harmony to come to you. So unity really, one of the unique things about the unity message is we don't go begging God for what we want. We seek to align our imagination with divine law, knowing that all manifestations are an operation of divine law, and that if we are congruent with it, if we are aligned with what is good for us, we can do the impossible. Third key. Imagination activates faith. You see, faith is not blind. Faith is imagination modified by truth, informed by truth, inspired by truth. So when the prodigal son was in the pig pen of life, he said, this is not who I am. The truth of me is I don't belong here. And so for those of you watching today, what truth of you should be changed? If you're doing something, if you're experiencing something in your life that, hey man, this is not pleasant. that what I am going through is not good, then change your expectation. Create a new truth, because when you create that new truth, that new vision of yourself, this power of imagination operating through divine inspiration creates the manifestation in your life. Hebrews 11th chapter, 1st verse says, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Evidence exists first in consciousness. So any of us who have some health challenges now, if we can see in our imagination whatever those health challenges are, that they are handled, that they are neutralized, that they no longer exist. If you can see beyond the challenge to the solution. The scripture says, let the weak say, I am strong. Christ said, take up your bed and walk. It is through your imagination. The moment you can see it the way you want it to be, the moment you can see all of the health challenges that you're having right now, see yourself healed, see yourself whole, see yourself operating in your perfect nature, it will happen. You see, faith is seeing before there's manifestation. Look at the way it said. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. He said, I want happiness. I want success. I want good health. I want great relationships. I want love. And so when you have, that is the goal, that is the hoped for thing. The second part says, and the evidence of things not seen. The fact that you hope it means that you've now created an image in your mind, an expectation of it happening. In Romans, the 4th chapter and the 17th verse, it says, he calls those things that are not as though they are. And that's the power of affirmation. You say what you want, you feel what you want, you get what you want. So the shift is not about working harder. The shift is about imagining higher. That when you see beyond the obstacle to the solution, you're on the way. So let's ask ourselves, what possibility have I ruled out too quickly? You know, when we go, Sandra and I, we seems like we visit the doctors 2 or 3 times a week. And many times they don't have any good news. And it starts making you rule out the possibility of good health. So what possibilities have you ruled out too quickly? Where just one more try, one more blow, you might have been victorious. What story about yourself needs to be retired? What story about yourself needs to be retired? And now this is the big one. What would I attempt if I knew that God was expressing through me? In other words, what would I attempt if I knew in my heart that nothing was impossible? What would I attempt if I knew that failure was not an option? It was not an option. Excuse me. So unity teaches us that God does not limit us. We limit ourselves. So let's recap now. There are 3 keys. That this idea of your own limitation is your own imagination, that imagination shapes your identity. So imagine yourself to be the person you want to be, doing the things you want to have, going wherever you want to go. Imagine yourself exactly the way you would like to be. Second key, imagination determines expectation. And so then you know, the Course in Miracles is so beautiful. It says there are always miracles around us. Imagination determines expectation. So expect a miracle. But in order to expect that miracle, you have to have a vision of what it would be like if that miracle manifested in your life. And then third, imagination activates your faith. You see, the moment you know that faith is the substance of things hoped for, then the thing hoped for can be whatever your imagination may be. So that you now can see the person you can be. You can see the person you were created to be, and you can see yourself fulfilling your destiny in each and every way. So let us close out together. Normally in church we would stand. So if you want to stand, that's fine. But let us affirm together. I'll say it and then you repeat after me. My imagination is a divine faculty. I release inherited limitations. I image my life in harmony and truth. With God consciousness, all things are possible through me. Let's say that last one again. With God consciousness, all things are possible through me. Whew. Thank you so much for being with us on this message. It's in church we would have take up our offering, our show of support. And those of you online, there should be a button there that you can tap and use that button to support this ministry, to help us to continue to grow and have impact on the world. If you can't find that button, just go to our Unity website, unitywill.com, and there are buttons there that you can tap, Venmo, and all these ways. But today has been such a special day, and I ask that each and every one of you do something a little extra, a little special. So Ellen shares, you can use the links pinned to the top. Excellent. Thank you so much, Charlene, for having all that technical knowledge, and Reverend Ellen for pointing it out. So tap those links and give today, because everything you give is an expression to us of support. It motivates us, it inspires us, it helps us do better, helps us grow more. I had planned to have some music while we were doing that, but you can do that as you complete this broadcast. One announcement: normally we'd be recognizing all of our volunteers, and so we'll do that next Sunday. But I want to thank everybody who's been in there. I apologize. As they say, the devil is in the details. That we practiced. We did a test run this morning, and it was interesting, and it all worked. And it seemed like we reset everything, and a whole new ball game was there. So thank you so much for hanging in there with us, and thank you so much for inviting other people, and share this broadcast with others. I think it will bless them. Thank you so very much. We'll close out now with a benediction. Oh, I want an announcement. One more thing. We are having a class on metaphysical Bible interpretation. You'll see it in our announcements and on the website. It's a 4-part class to really teach everybody and give another level of, you might say, the unity perspective on the Bible, the new thought perspective on the Bible and what it means, that each and every person in the Bible and each and every parable is some aspect of you, where we look at the symbolism and much of the metaphysical approaches to the Bible. And it starts on next Wednesday, I think on the 10th. But look on the website, register for it. It's the whole class is 4 classes, $80 or $25 for each class. But I'd love to have you. We're going to be doing it right there. We'd love to fill that sanctuary with people who want to learn how to change their lives in a very special way. So once again, thank you so much for being with us today. I'll close now Ellen, thank you for being such a resource, and Charlene and Teresa for helping me put this all together. Now we know how to do it, and we'll do it whenever we have to. So let us just be still a moment as we close out, knowing that we give thanks for this moment together, in this experience together, this online presence. We know that it was a little different, but it is not, because the essence, the goal of all of this is to communicate and to connect with each other in a special way. We give thanks for your presence, for your persistence, to hang in there, for sharing this broadcast with other people. And I ask you today to share it with as many people as you can. We know that the love of God always uplifts us and gives us a new image of ourselves, that when we align with that love, we find joy and happiness. The wisdom of God gives us direction so that each and every step takes us closer to our purpose. And the power of God protects us. It surrounds us. It keeps away anything that is not good for us. It removes all negativity. It removes all challenges. It neutralizes all things that try to keep us from being aligned with the source. And in this space we say, may the power of God protect you, the wisdom of God direct you, the love of God uplift you, and make smooth, beautiful, and perfect your way. And so it is.